on using Giroux, a free program that you can download from Giroux.org. Today, I'm hoping people will get a little bit better of a sense of how while loops work, as well as how the if, else, if, else control structure operates. So let me explain the dilemma of the project here. We have these two Giroux, Jane and Joe, neither one with flowers, and Joe wants to hop along, grab this flower, give it to Jane, and then just sort of follow her off into the sunset, happily ever after. I wrote some code that has some errors in it. I intentionally wrote some errors that I'm hoping to see hoping you can catch. Let's see. So here we go. After running these two lines, you get this picture here with Joe and Jane. Then we have this while loop, and the while loop is written while Joe.isNet_right. It's going to do these three checks. If Joe.isFlower here, Joe.pick. So if he's on a flower, pick it. Else if Joe.isGiroux ahead, Joe.give. Else hop. Now, if you don't know it, if, else, it means that only one of these will ever execute. First, it checks the if. If there is a flower here, he picks it, and then these two are skipped. Go back to the while loop again. If this is false, which it usually will be, it then goes to this check. Else if there is a Giroux. So the idea is you check this first. If that's false, you check this. If this is false, you always hop. Okay, only if these two are false do you get to the else part. Also, if you know anything about the way curlies and these things work, if you don't have curlies after an else, or an if, or a while for that matter, what will occur is just one line. So if we put Joe.hop and Joe.turn, the Joe.turn, if it were on the next line, would not have anything to do with the else. We would need curlies to group multi-line commands. Alright, so do you see the problem here? The while loop are just these three things, and then it's just Jane hopping and Joe going onwards. And this loop will fail. Well, it won't do what we hope. Watch what happens. That was a little too fast here. Create the Giroux, and the while loop never ran once, because at this point, Joe.isNet_right is false. So you skip the whole while loop and go right down to Jane hop, Joe hop. So easy enough to fix, right? Just give Joe a 6 here. Still going to be a problem, though. And it has to do with the nature of these three. If you remember, only one of these will ever occur. First, this is attempted. If that's false, this is checked. If that's false, this is checked. Do you see the logic here? If there is a flower here, pick it. That's not really the problem. The problem is these two. If there is a Giroux ahead, give. Else, hop. If you think about what's going to happen here, go along, pick the flower. And then when you're here, there's a problem with these two lines. If you don't see it, let's watch. Okay, this is all pretty straightforward here. He's going to keep hopping because the first two fail. Now, is flower here? Pick. Now, if you'll notice, we got into the curly because this was true. We're going to skip these two checks for now and go right back to the while check. Wow, isn't that right? Still true. That's going to be false forevermore, right? The first check. But now, if is Giroux ahead, false, hop. False, hop. False, false, hop. Now, do you see the problem? Here's the problem. Is Giroux ahead? Give. Joe's going to give Jane the flower. Great. Here's the problem. There's still a Giroux ahead, so this is still true. We're never going to get there, and Joe will be forever stuck trying to give her the flower that he already gave. And you can just see there, he never gets out of it. You never get down to the third else check. So, logic flaw. We're going to need to add a second command here. If is flower ahead, we're going to have to do Joe.give Jane.hop. Right, so Jane will hop once, and Joe will chase after her. And now, let's see what happens. Yep, maybe we'll do it a little slower. A little more interesting. Let's step by step. Joe.give gives her the flower. Jane.hop. And isn't that right? Is still true. Gives flower ahead. Well, he tries to give it again. So much for that. Jane's going to hop. Joe's going to hop. Isn't that right? What's going to happen now? Do you know? Going to skip the whole while loop, right? Because it was false for the first time. Go down to... They're just going to walk off together there. Joe still chasing Jane. So, just a quick recap. You need to be very careful about the conditions of a while loop. If it's false, you never get into it. But even more subtle for people often when they're first learning the program is how the if-else if-else structure works. Only one of these is ever checked at a given time. So our problem, just to recap the whole dilemma, at least the hardest part, was that after Joe gave her the first flower, we didn't have this. So the problem was, whenever there was a Drew ahead, Joe was giving her the flower, and nothing more was happening. We were stuck forever here. Since this was true, we never got to hop and move onward. So be careful. Moral of the story, be careful how you write your while loops and your if tests. And that wraps it up here. Thanks a lot.